All right, ladies and gentlemen, bear with me as I walk through a very interesting timeline from some of the things we've heard about Assassin's Creed and the game that has gotten delayed from November to the Q1 of 2025. That's based on regular calendars. That may be Ubisoft's, Q4 in their financial calendar and so on and so forth. There's something very interesting that came out of the works. One of them was that with Ubisoft actually having had a lot of its creatives lean a certain way in pretty much ensuring that their games, in my opinion, I'll call it, have some elements in terms of, checking off boxes. I've always thought it was a financial motivation that actually made for all that. They said that if some of their games were to fail and gamers did not buy those games, that they were going to go back and just remaster or remake other older games and then use those to, recover in terms of sales and then continue to make those games that they are aware of that gamers do not necessarily want. Now, these reports have come from, some of the YouTubers here on the, on the web that talk about a lot of the gaming stuff. But then something else has also come out from the, so-called games journalists or the insiders as well, which is that Assassin's Creed Black Flag has, it's leaked. A remake has leaked, which is crazy because at first, a lot of people have said that these folk that are getting this inside information, that have said that they actually went ahead to speak with developers, some people call them grifters. Even Axios wrote an article and said that these people were grifting. But one of the things that they said in their videos is literally right now, right here in front of us. And it literally has just popped out of nowhere in the last few hours. So I guess I have a question to ask. Were they grifting or were they actually told by developers about things going on internally in Ubisoft and its workings? That's very interesting. Now, granted, the Assassin's Creed game that I remember being specifically mentioned was Assassin's Creed 1 remake or so. I didn't think Black Flag was going to be it, but I'm not surprised because Black Flag is actually very popular across the board in terms of Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed games. Even though, yes, Assassin's Creed Trilogy, the 1, 2, 3, are also super popular. They're well beloved, but Black Flag was kind of like, yeah, that really did take, the cake. I played a little bit of it, never really got to finishing it. That's one thing about The Division. That game really life that game because, that's how live service games can be sometimes. But at the end of the day, I think this is very interesting for Ubisoft as a whole. What is their development strategy? What is their, idea? What are their ideas on, social issues, and why do they decide that they're going to take this approach in developing their video games at the end of the day? The question is very interesting, and I think we're going to see all of this eventually come full circle because when you kind of think about it, a lot of what their development has dabbled into has been really strange for a lot of gamers. And now with the polarized gaming industry, even they recognize that they face a huge risk of their games actually, going the way of Concord or going the way of, say, a game that comes out and nobody really buys it because in the game, people, in a sense, are perceiving the game to have some things that they do not agree with from a moral, personal, ethical, perspective. That's pretty much how gamers are looking at their video games right now. It's more of a value system than just gameplay mechanics and eye candy. Because the gaming population, for the most part, that has been playing a lot of these games, that gaming population is much older. Like, they're no longer babies anymore. They're no longer kids. And so I think this is something that Ubisoft as a whole has not necessarily dialed into. You're now making games, no longer for those young, 20-something-year-old males or 30-something-year-old males. That demographics of the real buying consumer has already grown significantly. And what's crazy is the younger consumer base, they're attached to the free-to-play games. It's a very small number of people that are willing to spend extra money. So the free-to-play games and the live service games and the shooters and all of the above and Call of Duty, those, games really do have a very strong place that's pushing against the grain in terms of single-player games. So knowing that that market is really small, I can see how they can actually, in a sense, implement or take on this strategy of the remakes. And to even back up the remake thing further, you can already see PlayStation already announcing that they have more remakes. I mean, I wouldn't say announce, but there are articles that are coming out from outlets like PlayStationLifestyle.net talking about how Nixxes has a number of remasters underneath their belt, and PlayStation is not. They're just getting started. They're gonna bring everything back that they possibly can, because the development cycles for those are easier, because they're basically, I think they're basically glorified shader packs that are going to leverage, maybe say, some new technology back and forth. But other than that, I think the reports were pretty accurate. I think if the internal, if the internal messaging, should I say messaging? If the internal details that were gotten from Ubisoft's developers actually came to these YouTubers, then for real, we're at the precipice of something where I think either these companies realize that they're going to have to shift and find a way to make players, play their games. And these remakes, they seem like they're going to be popular and profitable. And it's very interesting nonetheless, though, because I thought when I was listening to all that, I was like, I wonder if this is true or whether this is a lie. But I guess time was the only factor that you needed to be able to tell if, say, these folk were grifting, or if this folk actually did get information from from Ubisoft's developers. And it seems like for that particular part of the report, anyways, they were right on point. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching the video. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.